Cool. Thanks, Dougie.
What was your Simone? Good job. Good. So, good to go?
Yeah,
Are we good to go?
we're already live.
Everything is live.
Everything is alive.
Okay, then we shall raise our glasses in honor of this auspicious occasion that TKC papers are done. Just a few years more than we had anticipated. All right. So yeah, we should use this just as a way of not only celebrating, but kind of putting everything in perspective of kind of how this whole thing started, and people can talk about, you know, the trials and tribulations and journeys to get here, right? It's a long journey. So I'll give you some prelude to the stuff that happened before most of you showed up. So I believe this was in right around 2000. I was sitting in a conference room, and it was Joel Jackson, I think, or Ken, literally somebody who had got up and they were giving a talk about the Aerodat system, and saying that we had these two places in area called Cape White Shoal, and in one of them, the earliest time channels were positive, and the earliest time channels were actually negative. I couldn't figure out, okay, what is actually going on here. It just seemed really kind of incomprehensible to them. A couple of years later, because of this, that did a new system. They flew that again, got repeatability, and in fact knocked down the error bars, and it was quite clear that, you know, there was just really negative signals there. And at that, you know, by that time, Jan Klein and others had already kind of figured out that, okay, we actually can see IP data from the air. So that was good. So now we had a data set, and that kept getting reflown eventually by VTAM. And so we thought, you know, we really should try to see what we could do with it. So there's actually been a number of students who have kind of looked at this from various considerations. First off was a guy by the name of Christoph Hyde. He was actually interested in seeing if he could get some information from the IP data. Then Lawrence Baran worked on this just a little bit. Also, let's see, who else was there? Colin. So Colin was here. He was doing some work on ice, but we also had you know, a couple of soundings that were provided by Ken literally, and we were kind of trying to work with them. So that didn't really pan out. And then Dave Marchant was going to look at these, and we had, by that time, we kind of rekindled our sort of interaction with Ken literally, which I feel really badly for, because every time, sort of every like 3 or 4 years, this stuff would kind of come into our view, and we, oh, we should get those data. And so, you know, I phoned Ken up and said, could we have those data? He said, well, you know, I kind of gave them to you a few years ago. I'll give them to you, right? Because we just got to keep track of the students and whatever. So Dave wasn't able to do anything with this, but Dave did an important thing. That was to do the forward modeling of those airborne data. So anyway, as we were doing the kind of EM group meetings, it always seemed like, okay, maybe this is actually something that's worthwhile actually taking on as a whole project. You know, just kind of sharing among the group, it would be something that's useful, kind of interact as everybody's working on, you know, some common problem, and there's multiple kinds of data there in addition to the airborne data. It just seemed like, you know, maybe the whole group could benefit from doing that. So that was the impetus for doing that. And initially they thought it was going to be 6 months. But yeah, that's a bit of that background. So I guess it's probably at that point you could now pick things up because that's about where you start.
Right. So we're starting at the current day, which is 2016 September 8th. So I wasn't sure when we actually started. So my guess was about 3 years. So I dig it out my email, and then so I found this email from Doc to me. So 2014 January 9th. So I think it's about 2.5 years, I guess. I started actually. So, but I think Doc got email from Ken that actually can give TKC datasets. So
I can. That's probably like a fourth time.
Right. So that was like 2011. So I thought like there was a 3 years gap between this. It seems like there's a conversation, but it seems like it was a much longer story than I thought. So they had a conversation. Actually, we got the data set at January 17th. So that wasn't that bad. So once I got an email from Doc, actually after a couple of weeks, I got that data. There were actually a number of people involved on that emails. Actually, Ken Whitley, Jonathan Root, Sean Walker, Joel Jensen. So they were actually communicating, and then okay, who has got this data? And actually, Ken got that data, so Ken provide us this one. So
and I must admit, I'm very impressed with the amount of effort that everybody put in here. I mean, it's not their project, and they didn't really have particular vested interest. But when we asked for the data, people said, "Oh, we'll try to dig it up," and they spent some personal time and sacrifice to do that.
Yeah, so that was a pretty long email between them. So I had to dig it up. And there's this Pandora zip file having 4 files. Actually, I was the first one who unzipped. You got the virus. So there were 4 files about DJ, V10, Aeroten, and that. So that was our start at, I don't know, 2.5 years ago. And our first group meeting, so I was curious. So I was digging up again. And then, so Doc asked me, how's it going while he was in Costa Rica.
Good idea.
Well, when he's in Costa Rica, we're still working hard. So that was my intention. Oh, we're working hard. So I'm not sure my email was really trustworthy, but I said like, oh, we're ready to. We're supposed to have some mag and version reserves meeting. So I think so. So I said today. So that means I think 11th was our first group meeting, I guess. And then I'm pretty sure some of us did the mag and version, especially Sarah. I'm pretty sure she did. People did, and then we brought out. I guess that was the Aeroten, I guess. And then at that time we teamed up as for like a 4 surveys. So DJ was Dong and Lindsay. So I think some of my memories might be wrong, so that's all of my guess. V10 was Sarah, Mike McMillan, and Mike Mitchell. So that was V10. Aeroten was me, Dave. I guess Chris was in there, I think.
And Devin.
Yeah, probably Devin.
Yeah. So 2 question marks.
Yeah, so Aeroten. Right. So that was how we started. And then actually I found the tech document that we generated. So that was the initial plan. Aeroten has a question mark because we have figured out that was exactly the same data set with the Aeroten data. But actually Aeroten is a frequency domain system. I've recognized it really later, like recently from Joel's paper. Because that was like a sort of a previous system for region. Yeah, so that was the plan. So our plan is load, visualize, apply 3D mag inversion, and compare and resistivity, apply 1D inversion, and 3D version. That was actually sort of brief, rough plan that we had. And then I don't know how it like happened, but somehow we were excited about, oh, okay, let's. I think at the time we didn't have that much things about those data sets, but we thought, okay, we need some motivation to proceed. Let's go CG. So that was the motivation. So like Doug sent an email that let's go to SCG. So that was about like. So I thought we did work hard, I guess, for 2 months. Okay. So let's make it a little bit more seriously. So actually, Nate's contribution was actually generating a geological map. So he actually kind of put out a contribution on that, and Sarah and Chris did 3D mapping version. Time. Dom did 1D version. Mine was actually rejected. I did really work hard because what I did, I kind of got this like one decay curve. I manually fit it, and so I just in the half space. And I fit it by like just changing the chargeability C and tau. It was a really hard work, but rejected. So I was a bit kind of unhappy. So that's what. So that was the motivation, I think. And then we submitted at April. So that was the one. And then actually, DocSend at that time, that was a big hook for us, I think. So that was April 3rd. So right after we submitted to SCG, I think docs are like kind of manipulating us. Okay, here.
Oh,
Wow,
it's fire.
It's fine. My English is pretty bad, so I usually have a good excuse. Yeah, encourage to speak up. So there was the interpretation paper. So they actually had a special session called mining and mineral exploration. So I think UAE is already gone, I guess.
That was, I guess, then the debut of interpretation.
So I think that was interpretation was pretty recent at that time.
It was first year of it.
Right. Yeah, so I think all of us like, oh, so we can do this. We're gonna write our papers about this.
That was April 2014.
Yeah. So that was still pretty recent. That was just after 3 months initiation. So that, I think
So you started off really good.
yeah, you gotta mention.
Then we went through it.
Yes, and then we got actually a lot of progress. So I found an email that was excited. Okay, in this meeting, we're going to see the 3D joint mapping version. I think there was something going on, I guess, and then Doug knew that like Chris and Sarah will show that 3D joint mapping version, I guess. So they were, I don't know, I'm not exactly remember what happened, but you guys were developing that at the time, right?
Yeah, we put in the GIF tools.
Right.
And the 3 data sets. That was before we realized how poor one of the data sets was.
Well, I think that was overall a very interesting learning lesson, right? So you get these 3 data sets, they have different quality attached to them, and you feel like, oh, well, there's kind of extra independent information in those guys, and let's try to put them all together. But really, each one of them kind of had its own problems, and in the end, in order to get things to work together, you kind of have to make some compromises, and you're just far better off taking the best data set that you got, go with it. So that was a learning experience. I remember initially when we were planning this, we had thought, okay, this is interpretation, so we want to have this as a bit of a tutorial to kind of tell people, okay, what to do, what problems do you find, how do you address those things, and then how do you kind of move on. And in the end, it was just so problematic with all of those different magnetic conversions and trying to reconcile everything, and how do you take away the background from each of them, what you ascribe for errors. It's just, it was not worth it. It didn't provide any extra information. It's just a real sink for time. Because you and Sarah spent a lot of time.
Yeah, we did.
So there was some outside. And then actually Mike McMillan, I think it was pretty recent for him actually developed his parametric inversion as well. And then I think he was also excited about actually putting that into a field case study. So Mike did the parametric inversion of the VTEM data. And so I think that was how we kind of figured, oh, that could be a conductive pipe. I think that was pretty big to me because getting the conductivity model to proceed IP inversion, that was pretty big. So that was kind of big progress. And the DOM did, actually, I don't know, I'm not exactly sure. So I'm not sure if this was your first 3D inversion, but I think that's something that we actually got some reasonable 3D inversion. There was actually August, I guess. I don't know. I think that was the email that you sent me the picture. Oh, okay, we got something out of it. And yeah, so that was what our progress was.
That was a pure region inversion. There, so when I got that result, I remember.
Yeah, I think so. That was pretty excited. Oh, okay. Because we kind of this button doesn't really look really good, but you see that we figured out this tail there, and then put the conductor down, because that's what we thought. Okay, this conductor should be more conductive than the tail. So that was pretty big. And challenges was, I think that DGEM was pretty challenging because I think in our group we haven't quite inverted 3D DGEM data using our code. I guess that was our first try. I think so. So we had to figure out quite a few things, and then the most important thing was actually we had to use really small mesh, 2.5 meter, and actually putting that into like a kind of reasonable scale of TKC inversion. That was pretty tough. So that was a big challenge. And then the other challenge was like, okay, we got the two conductivity model from these two Airbornian data set, and then okay, you just form model in the other side, and then compare that wasn't agreed. So we're not getting kind of like similar conductivity model from these two measurements. So that was a big challenge to us. And then the other challenge came at 2014. I think that was at the consortium meeting about like this October. So like Theo from Rio Tinto, actually he kind of draw me this picture.
Oh, is that Theo's?
Yeah, that's Theo's drawing. Because like I was just keep asking him what happened, what is the geological background to this? Because I think our understanding about this geology behind the TKC was pretty low at the time. So actually he could just draw here, okay, that there was an ocean environment that could happen, and it could be washed out. And there, on top of the HK, you see this is not a PK. That was HK. So he thought that was HK. And then on top of the HK, there is the black shale. That was what he said to me. And the black shale should be conductive and possibly chargeable. So his comment was the game changer to us. Because like, I don't know, I think we thought he was involved in this project for a while, so he probably an expert at this. And what he said, okay, so we need to think about that. So we were actually, after that, we were really pushing hard to make our inversion something like that. So actually Mike was trying to start from the top. So he put a sphere on the top and then make a pancake types of thing. So he could fit the data okay compared to before. Yeah, so that kind of confused us. So that was a big confusion, I think.
Extra angst there too, because after having submitted the extended abstracts, there were people from Australia that picked up on those extended abstracts and were looking at the conductivity structure and saying, oh, they'd like to use that connectivity and some of the courses and to show things around, right? And then we get Theo's comment, okay, that's really crap. Okay, that is so wrong. So, yeah.
So basically, your pancake model can fit data almost equally well.
I guess so. Because
so you can really tell which one.
yeah, we couldn't just from the VTEM data, we couldn't tell what Theo said is right, or what we thought right, that wasn't quite sure. Yeah, and somehow, although we have started writing the end paper, with the confusion, I don't know how it happened. So we started that 2014 November. We started writing the end paper. Okay. And then, so in the new year, so Doug actually got some new data from Jennifer Pell from Paradigm. So Paradigm is the diamond company that actually owns that TKC. Still, probably now. They
still own it. They'd be happy to sell it. So if you're interested.
You want to get out.
So we got gravity, Hamilton data. And then at this point, like kind of around these days, actually we got the Paradigm report. Paradigm report, they provide all the drilling information as well. So Dom actually digitize it and then put that into it's a GoCat, right? So we actually got drilling information, what was the PK, what was BK, or something like that. So at this point, we kind of got the more geological information, I guess. And then I think we knew probably what Theo said may not be compatible with what other people like Joel and Ken did in the past.
And you finally read the geology paper.
Right. Yeah, we finally read the actual geology paper. We should have done that before. And then actually, right after Doug got that gravity data, so it was actually after 2 weeks, Sarah did the gravity inversion, got some gravity inversion result. So actually, Sarah was pretty fast whenever. So whenever Doug got the data, after 2 weeks, Sarah did the inversion, and she was like kind of a big engine. And then we, yeah, at that point, I think we got better understanding. And then I think at that point, we kind of sure that till, like the conductor is actually from the kimbolite. And then I think like things were coming together. So we thought, okay, we should, so we kind of, that was the motivation. It's like, okay, we probably need some more expert that can give us right feedback and right geological information. And that was the motivator of the TKC workshop, I guess. So actually we made a, I think that still works.
I should probably change that.
So it's actually still works.
I should have.
Oh, nice. Yeah, well, I mean, the motivator there was that, we concentrated for such a long time on trying to get, key distributions of these physical properties, right? Which in itself was a huge step forward.
Right.
But then it's like, okay, so how can we do it? Right?
Yeah, but at that point, we actually got 4 different physical properties. And then we actually brought kind of different discipline of people, like Maya, I think she's a prof in UBC who actually does diamond stuff. And Craig, what's the name of the guy from Paraguay?
Clement?
Clement, yeah.
Clement, yeah. So it was, I think it was pretty successful, I guess.
So when the title code came in? Do you remember the time, the date?
I think it's 2015 September, or that was at about that BCGS meeting that Doug gave a talk, I guess. That was my guess. So that was pretty late. I think at this time, we still haven't that title code.
No, really?
Yeah, you're right. It wasn't until September.
Yeah.
Really late August.
So that was really recent. But yeah, I think that you still got kind of okay, like a kind of reasonable cert, even with the sort of the kind of conventional type of the EFE code.
But I think that particular workshop was successful from a number of points of view. I mean, first of all, from the point of view of the TKC project, getting Paraguay on board,
Right.
and Brooklyn Metz was really enthusiastic. I mean, he knew jack diddly about what was going on, but he came away from that meeting convinced that we were going to be able to give them some extra information. And then post that meeting, every time we asked him anything, I mean, he was on it, especially, getting core from.
Yeah, and then they brought Randy as well.
Yeah, so
So-
Randy was there.
So we
So-
actually,
Yeah, and I think that was the other thing, because, we've always been talking about trying to get, interaction with geologists and geophysicists and, whoever else. And I think this particular workshop where, as geophysicists, we just showed, 3D distributions and images. And then we had, Brooke give, background talk
Yeah.
about that deposit and, what went right, what went wrong, and be able to sit there, and this is where Roman showcased, some of the 3-point stuff with respect to visualization, and in particular, just sort of being able to interact with that display, which is kind of cool.
yeah, that was their early days.
Yeah, that was, they were just, that may have been one of their first kind of showcases for this. But the fact that we were all able to sit around and communicate, like just talking about physical properties and images and drawings and sketches, I think it's huge, right? And the more we can capitalize on that, I think the better we are. But I think that was a really, really good first step in that direction.
So it was a really good day. And then so this year, January, so Dom and I was like just keep talking about why shouldn't we get different conductivity model? And we were actually, I don't know, we were just go back and forth and then
Circles.
we tried a whole bunch of things and okay, probably our waveform is wrong. And that was our kind of guess. So I tried even before I get the new waveform. So I just changed the ramp of the waveform. So that the black line is actually the waveform that we used, and I think that's from either Deepone or Mike McMillan that they used for their previous V10 field data. And so I just changed the ramp, like the rate of decay, this kind of slope. Yeah, slope. And then, because that slope make a pretty big impact and on your data set. So from black to red, I change it, and then I could get pretty big match. That was just parametric sort of for modeling. And then previously, I couldn't reach to what that was actually from a degen model, I think. So I was thinking about, okay, if I can kind of get the similar response from the conductivity model that I got from degen with that waveform, I'm good to go. So that was sort of the guess that I tried. And then, actually, that was right after a few days. Tom said, "Oh, I got a new waveform from what's the name? The guy named Geoffrey Pasto from Contact. Is he actually from Geotech?
I did Geotech.
Okay.
Geotech.
Yeah. So the green line was that new waveform. So that was actually kind of different, but in terms of the ramp, it's actually pretty similar that I kind of just tried. So that was actually changed quite a bit of our interpretation. Well, not interpretation, but that kind of was a game changer that matches the degen and V10 data.
I didn't realize it changed that from that. I thought it was just the ramp off, but the width of that pulse is way different.
Yeah, pulse is way different as well. So yeah, so the waveform was really different. So actually, that was warning. There was a reminder me always that okay, I'd probably be careful about using. Just don't use different waveform that I've got different survey, because even though they're same system, sometimes it's really different waveform. And then
Remember, there wasn't a waveform attached to the.
no, we didn't have it.
No, so basically we're kind of only have 50% of the information.
Yeah, exactly. That was the reason why we just used the waveform that people used previously.
I guess the wrong waveform actually from 1 minute ago, which is in 2007. It's 3 years after the survey.
Right.
So 2004, they were still developing the system. So yeah, very good.
So that's an interesting fact. And then actually, that was the ignition of cooperative inversion, because we always thought, okay, well, because we're recovering the same connectivity model, because like Earth should be the same, and then now we got, okay, we can match that with in the both system, so that kind of ignite our cooperative inversion. So that was the flow. So it was like a sort of like not too fancy, but sort of 2 minutes inversion. So I do V10 blind inversion, and then just give it to Dom, and then Dom use that as a reference or starting model, and then we go back and forth, and we could see how it converges. So we haven't quite got really good convergence, but we still have a little bit of difference, but it was like much better than before. So it was sort of like acceptable difference, I think. So they were sort of fine. And then at that time, we got the gravity gradiometry data. So actually, so I'm just did that gravity gradiometry inversion as well. And then that was kind of how we figured out the ground gravity data. The transformation was, I don't know, like the GO18 was, like the location was quite kind of deviated from what we got from gravity gradiometry data. So it was a good check. And actually, we ended up using this new gravity data for our paper. So everything was actually ended up really good. But it was a bit of long history. And then for interpretation, so we got 4 or 5 actually physical properties. And actually, we first started using k-mean clustering. And it was okay, but it was way too complicated to explain how we got it. So we actually changed our mind, and then let's do manual. And then we did it manually. So we just like kind of make a contour and then manually interpret what is what. So we ended up getting like 6 rock units from 5 physical properties, things like that. So we ended up tables of R0 to R5. And then we actually generated like a 3 geological model from drilling research, and then compared that. And yeah, that was a pretty good match, which was a pretty good story. Yeah, so we're going to, I thought we weren't submitted at this point, but we're going to submit today. And then summary, well, like some proceedings, we went to 4 conferences, and BCG talk, workshop, we're going to get some journal papers. We actually used this TKC case study in the tutorials of syntax, which is pretty good. And then we're going to have an urban IP workshop, and then they're going to use this TKC data set as like a shootout. Yeah, a shootout. Yeah, a number of people involved. There's like probably tens of people, well, some tens of people. Coffee was, I don't know, I had to drink a lot of coffee. Hours, a lot of hours. Potential, probably. Because, well, we've done this, but I think there are a lot of potential things that could be done. I'm not sure that I'm going to do that, but there are a lot of potentials. So to do that, I think we have a couple to-dos, I think, left. Because we should kind of package up all raw data in like a nice form. And then we need to grab all final matched models, observed and predicted data, and put that into a place that can be opened, I think. And well, we should put that into GSI. So I think this is what we did for that Airborne IP workshop. So we actually used just a Google Drive so it has like a database folder, and then it has a summary to all the data set in the CSV form. So that's a fairly simple way to do it, but I think that still works. So just click it, and then that kind of links to the documents and the actual files and actual data sets. So I think a good way to start, I guess. I'm not sure that's like a good way to go. But at least if you can do that, and then other people can build upon. So for example, like I have a Korean friend, and then they're interested in using actually recovering susceptibility model from EM data. So but like they don't have just failed data, but they do have a synthetic model and code, So actually just,
So the digen data would be
Yeah.
great.
yeah, opening up this data to take this to them is actually kind of expand their scope or what they could do.
Yeah, we have to be a little bit cautious about that and get permission. We have permission for the IP workshop, but I think the order of events is that work at the IP workshop, we publish something from that. So that establishes what the information content is in those data. So Paragon doesn't have to worry about some guy that's going rogue. Right? And then I think they'd probably consent to making it open.
That's why we cannot just open the raw data, but yeah, we should do a little bit more.
But I think your comment with potential is actually really important because there's so many facets here. Everywhere from like kind of thinking about, communication among groups with, TKC being the glue, to, trying to get down to a different paradigm for actually, searching for diamonds and what you might be able to get out. The use of this, for Synthé tutorials and stuff that you've got there. Maybe some further work yet on the IP itself. And then certainly there is one paper that needs to be written
Yeah.
with respect to ground truth and, bringing in those petaphysical models. Haven't talked at all yet about the lab type of data. So there's yet one more paper to be to be written here to kind of close that. So I think, from the point of view of projects and data and interaction, this has been a huge success. What everybody's been able to put into here, communication in the group, and development techniques, and just getting that rock model.
Right? Yeah, so you got just small period, but some adventures. That's it.
It's very interesting story.
That's great, so I'm glad we captured that. Because otherwise, actually just sort of disappeared.
That was pretty fun. It was good to keep the emails. I'm kind of lazy, actually.
I don't know if it's possible, so we can write it out as a story and then publish it on like some sort of magazine, like.
Well, this is going right into YouTube, so.
It's already there.
Easy.
Okay.